Okay, I'm still stitching here. Basically just running across areas. Stacking the stitch, letting it become wider or narrower. But basically doing a running stitch in varying lengths. And then coming back up, as opposed to the wrap stitch that goes all the way around, and going back in the other direction. Very slow build. Very slow. But at each moment you can decide whether to keep the stitch the same length or shift it or whatever. But the other part of this flow is to start eyeing where these things might meet, imagining where these bars might meet or not meet. They don't always meet. But once I make a kind of a visual connection there, I sometimes do something else. The running part of it works well for a cross. But sometimes the best way to get from here to here is to sort of what I call run in place. I'm still doing a running stitch, a single running stitch, but I'm stacking them one on top of the other without going too far. And what this does is it gives me more control in terms of directing this particular bar to meet the next one. And also I pay more attention to the width. And I can work in really small places. So running in place. Now, also there's an option here to break the running rule and just sort of break into a wrap stitch as well. So this is a little faster, but it uses more thread. So, it depends on what I want it to feel like. The wrap stitch tends to pull more, tends to raise up a little bit. And sometimes I do it this way. And then I also might come back up, start from this side, and work my way towards here. And you can see sometimes when I get closer, I realize that there's more bars on one side than the other. In this case, I just kind of let a couple of them end, and I just routed these particular ones through. So I'm still going on this. It's been days, and it really does take a long time, but I'm loving it. Starting to really focus again, on, like I made these thinner, and I'm just trying to get the fabric to show more in here. But now that I realize that this is about quilting on a patchwork base, I think I will pull out some previous patchwork and use the different styles of patchwork as a base for this stitch, and maybe at least do 9 of them, right? 9 variations. Also, when I traced this, I also did a little white running stitch around the edge so I could see the edge. So I'm gradually pulling that out. I actually thought of leaving it in, but in this case, I really just wanted to see the field of stitch by itself. Lovely how this area became so much stronger as the warm shades kind of merged together. You know, sometimes when there's a space like this, I come in with a little dot here, and that sort of becomes the birth of a new bar, which would continue probably from here. And then, you know, also, I tend to work in small sections because that keeps me from pulling too much across a large area and causing a pucker. And that's one of my tricks to keep the thing from really pulling too much. And it works quite well. So far I've got absolutely no distortion in this circle. I have lots of ways to do with, lots of ways to handle that when that happens, so I'm sure it'll happen sooner or later, and then I can show you that. It's still quite fluid with all the stitch. You know, also, let me just flip this over. You can see that the pattern comes out on the back, and I am not, on this piece, worrying too much. What you're seeing here is a lot of the knots and kind of loose clipped ends and sometimes jumping over a bar. Because this piece is not, I'm not really thinking too much about the other side, but I will, the next one I'm doing, since I'm working in layers, it's very easy to hide knots and loose ends and whatever. So this can be reversible, although it'll look slightly different on the back than the front if you don't use the stab method. So I'll make the next one cleaner, just as an example of that, I think. It would be a lovely other side to a quilt, really.